BL Glover Show here on A Better Black America TV. And we got to talk about the politics. I mean, there's no way I cannot address the elephant in the room. Going on his third week in office, fourth week in office, and he's facilitating his campaign promises because he said a lot of the things that he ran on, he's bringing these things into fruition. He also pulled up at the Super Bowl. Now, I took a deep dive. I wanted to see, because I've seen some news outlets saying that Trump was the first president to attend the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, because I remember back when I was younger, I used to see a lot of presidents at Washington Redskins games, and then the Redskins did play in the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, how is this the only guy to go to the Super Bowl? And then I did not find any information to contradict what the major outlets were saying. And apparently, that's a man's attending the Super Bowl. Okay, but we're going to talk about the business at hand because there's some breaking news out of the LA Times. There was a leaked article that came out of the LA Times. And I believe that somebody tipped off local law enforcement, and they want to tip the people because here in Los Angeles, it is what we would call a sanctuary city. And let me see here. Now, there's some information that dropped, and the headlines basically says large scale immigration raids to was leaked. So meaning FBI documents was leaked to the LA Times to pretty much forewarn the 800,000 migrants living in Los Angeles. Now, in terms of the document, good morning and welcome to the Essential California newsletter. It is Sunday. This dropped Sunday. Let me see here. Here we go. Let me see here. ICE immigration raids may pale in comparison to the one that's scheduled in Los Angeles. Now, even before Trump administration came to power, there were already U.S. immigration and custom enforcement raids that made national headlines in the state of, basically in Bakersfield and Denver, Colorado. Now, Los Angeles County is home to over 800,000 undocumented residents, according to the USC's University of Southern California's Equity Research Institute, did draw the early ICE raids or the numbers that people thought about. Okay. But however, this is changing. Now, this leaked document somehow got to the LA Times, and LA Times did an article about it and they put it out there. So my colleagues, James Corley and Brittany Mejia, reported that the federal law enforcement, the FBI, are planning a large scale immigration enforcement action by the end of the month, according to documents reviewed by the LA Times. Now, the purpose of such actions. Now, Los Angeles is a city Trump repeatedly criticized throughout his multiple campaign visits and during the election cycle. Now, the operation will be spearheaded by ICE, and they will focus on people who do not have legal status. That's the key. It will be focused on people who do not have legal status or who are already pending orders of removal, according to the document. So it should just calm the waters a little bit, because you got high school students out there thinking that their parents, their mothers and their fathers are going to get deported. And that's not true. Okay. These are lies. These are scare tactics that elected officials use because they have to justify their funding. They have to justify why they're still going to be, campaigning, because it's crazy how these things work. Now, the potential hurdles for ICE is their ability to carry out these raids. Now, a federal law enforcement source who spoke on the condition, he wanted to remain anonymous for the fear of reprisal, said that agents with the FBI, okay, the largest law enforcement group and the most powerful in the world, along with the DEA, which is a drug enforcement agency in Los Angeles, field officers are being called to assist ICE. So this will not be a situation where an ICE officer pulls up and basically shows his documentation and you can say, I'm not opening my. They come in with the DEA, okay, Drug Enforcement Agency, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigations, which is the FBI. It don't get no stronger than that. FBI's don't need no warrants. FBI's don't even have to ask questions. Once you see that FBI, you just gonna have to move out the way. Okay. And basically, the official said ICE basically said that they need more bodies. Okay. Now, the former federal law enforcement official who has said they've been informed about the recent preparations, but spoke on the conditions of retaliation, that the FBI agents were being ordered to participate in pending ICE raids in Los Angeles. Neither official provided a date for the potential actions, and the Trump administration put out some documentation that it will be happening before this month ends. And it's a good thing that somebody tipped off the LA Times, so that individuals who are ones that's going to be deported, they can actually make an educated decision and lay low. Okay. And lay low. Because let me see here. And I can continue reading. What are local agencies saying about assisting? Now, ICE enforced removal operations in LA has posted on its Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, recently about people that they've arrested, including a national convicted of lewd or lascivious acts with a child under 14. Another wanted for murder in Mexico, a woman convicted of driving under the influence, and an illegal, let me see here, immigration from Venezuela, and is a known gang member. Now, FBI spokesman declined to comment on the upcoming large scale, but said the agency has been assisting the immigration operations since the end of January. Okay, so this has been a long-standing, relationship. Okay, now the DEA last month posted on Twitter, once again on X, that it had participated in an operation tied to immigration enforcement. Now, when asked to support immigration enforcement actions, okay, which is ICE, we will review the capabilities and shift necessary manpower to provide this support. Okay, and the spokesman for ATF said on Friday by an email that the agency is assisting the Department of Homeland Security and other law enforcement partners for this large-scale operation in Los Angeles. So this is breaking news. Okay, there's going to be massive raids. Like I said, I'm not trying to use scare tactics or anything like that, but in a sense of just to keep it honest, I'll just go ahead and tell you their talking point. Now, ICE immigrations are pretty much going to be underway, and they have a large scale in Los Angeles. So based on this story, large scale immigration raids in Los Angeles soon, which was leaked by internal documents. So in Trump news, I'm sure the president, he's ran on the campaign. This is one of the things that he's going to facilitate. And he's getting wins. I'm not saying it's wins to deport human beings. We are a nation of laws. Now, if we abide by the law, you should be fine. But if you are an illegal immigrant, if you are breaking the law, things of that nature, we can't protect you, and we cannot support what you're doing. But at the end of the day, this is a nation, that should have secured borders, that should have something to do with illegal immigration, because President Obama, he basically deported more Mexicans or more immigrants than any sitting president known to man, but nobody wants to say that because I guess the DEI hire being a black man, nobody really wants about that. But the Trump administration has hit the ground running. If you didn't know, USAID or USAID department is shut down. Okay, and the Department of Education is shut down. And I put in the title that Elon Musk keeps finding money. So he's found billions of dollars that's being spent frivolously, and they're basically saying on the back end that we're going to basically reveal the biggest scam known to man. And when I say the biggest scam known to man, because the political people that's in office, they're pretty much running schemes and scams all over the world. And then you take an independent contractor who does have a clearance, who's Elon Musk, who has a lot of power because the Trump administration wants him to pretty much find where the money's going. And he's identified that the Department of Education needs to be dismantled. That does not mean that there won't be any funding to education. That means the states must be responsible for the funding for their schools, because the public school system is pretty much the worst, public school system, on scale. at this time. This is the worst it's ever been. They're not educating our children. And in the public school sector, they're pretty much what we would say is a pipeline to prison, because after the third, fourth grade, they're pretty much babysitting these individuals before they go to actual prison. And another campaign promise and another win for the Trump administration, if you did not know, is trending on Google right now. And it's pretty much the Gulf of Mexico is now officially the Gulf of America. That's another win. So basically, U.S. aid, foreign development, that funding is frozen right now. So now we could develop American, programs here in America. The Department of Education has frozen its funding. The elected officials could not get in. The whole entire Congress or the oversight committee wanted to go into the Department of Education. I'm sure you've seen it online. It was trending, and they were denied access to the facility because of the stopping of funding. The Gulf of Mexico is the Gulf of America, and there are some other headlines that's out there that we need to pay attention to as well. So I pretty much put in Trump news, and people think this guy's playing. This guy is pretty much, putting the work in and have time to go entertain, for entertainment, to go watch the Super Bowl. But look at these stories of today. 26 minutes ago. Let me see here. Trump's federal changes face legal hurdles as president pushes Gaza's plan. Okay, and that's CNN. New York Times. Trump administration's live updates, news on cabinet picks, Gaza, and more. So you're starting to hear about that Gaza. He wants to pretty much take over Gaza and make it the French, the French Riviera of the Middle East. New York Times, 7 hours ago. Jordan's king faces a bind as he meets with Trump. And that Jordan's king, that's Egypt, okay, which is on the other side of the Gaza Strip. Okay, ABC News, Trump says he could withhold aid from Jordan and Egypt if they reject his Gaza proposal. And Fox News is reporting Prince Harry warned keep head down after president struggles. Baby, some crap right there. But let's just go with this ABC News. Okay. Now, Trump says he could withhold aid from Jordan and Egypt if they reject his Gaza plan. And why is that? America is what we're learning in plain sight, that America has dropped the ball domestic, and they're pretty much running a foreign operation around the world. So before we can actually support anything outside of the United States, any foreign aid or anything like that, why don't we use this energy to make sure that we do what we need to do here in America? Let's do that, because when you really think about it, America has his hands in everything. America has its hand in everything. And I just went to the USAA or USID's website, and let me see here to look at some information. Look like their website is down. I know my internet's not tripping. Let me see here. Their website is actually down right now. You see my screen behind me. Okay, and that's crazy. They shut it down already. So the United States Agency for International Development. Why do we have an agency for international development? This is the question. Where is the agency for domestic development? And see, this is why, as American people, there cannot be a two-party system. There cannot be duopoly. There cannot be Republicans versus Democrats. It's supposed to be, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for everybody. Because, like I said, I'm going to try this website once again. And it looks like they shut down the USAID or USAID website. Wow. Okay. And when I say Elon Musk is the money, they had an annual budget of $40 billion. That's what it be. Annual budget, $40 billion. And they had pretty much over 10,000 employees as of, let me see here, 2023, documented as, 10 employees, which pretty much got, they're on vacation right now. And they got money to pretty much give them a nice compensation package or a nice package to finish because their jobs are done. But Elon Musk is finding the money. And there's no way that the United States should have an entity that pretty much develops international cities. Now, the United States Agency for International Development is an independent agency of the United government that is primarily responsible for administrating civilian foreign aid and development assistance. Why can't we have civilian domestic aid and development assistance? See, this is why Trump won the way that he did. This is why the Democratic Party is in shambles, and this is why that party will not exist anymore. And as a partisan citizen, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I did not support Trump or Harris, but we do respect the Oval Office. We do respect the executive in chief. And just like the Bible says, you render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, and we're going to render unto God's what is God's. And God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge, because we need to fix this nation. And as a constitutionalist, that Constitution says domestic tranquility, tranquility. So we need to be living in tranquil environments. Okay. So now that the U.S. Agency for International Development doesn't even have a website anymore. Okay. Now that's $40 billion that we have to earmark for domestic development and domestic aid. Okay. And I'm saying this because in California, where we had the wildfires in the Pasadena, Altadena areas on the foothills, the Pasadena Red Cross shelter has given the individuals who's living in that shelter their eviction notices. They have to the 17th of February to find somewhere to go. And the reason being, they said that they don't have funding. So now that Elon Musk has pretty much shut down the United Agency for International Development, which is USAID or USAID, there's $40 billion of appropriate domestically here in the United States. And this is what they feared. They feared, and you guys all heard it on the campaign trail. Okay, Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. Donald Trump is a rep and an ambassador to the United States of America. His slogan is "Make America Great Again." He is a blood-born American citizen who was born in Jamaica Queens Hospital in the state of New York. He's a New Yorker. He is the first president in the history of the United States outside of Barack Hussein Obama that does not have a lineage of legalized slavery. Okay, all the other sitting presidents, their bloodline ran through slavery, meaning they owned slaves, they owned plantations, they came through the South. These are the individuals they're fighting for their ancestors, and they'll be willing to turn America against America, continue to have power politically. And now that President Trump is in office, he is the president. We're going to show him some respect. And now that he has put one of the richest men on the planet, who pretty much a corporation or a company that's been contracted through the United States for the last 15 years, that's flying to space, got NASA contracts, and he's using him to pretty much find where this frivolous spending is, and is coming to find out that it's been a scam. It's been a scam. Zelensky Zelensky is the president of Ukraine. The Biden administration earmarked him $100 billion. He said he pretty much got 30 billion of it, but he has not seen $70 billion of that. Where did the money go? It's a scam. Anytime that you see a large transaction politically, there's always some senator, Congress, vice president, or president visiting that area because they're pretty much going to get the bread. It's a money laundering scheme. It's a scam. Donald Trump was the biggest threat to their democracy, and democracy is dead. And the reason that they're fighting, using fear tactics and making up all of these things, and I'm speaking on the elected officials, these Democrats, is because the party is over, and the individuals that put them in office are the ones that's motivating them to speak up. Why is it that the district attorney of the state of New York, okay, Letitia James, she goes out and she pretty much reads a teleprompter and speaks about the president? Why is that? because she is the elected officials that they put their, the battery pack up her back, okay, put her in office. So now she's the acting lead of the Democratic Party, in which, she has no power. Her job is to go out there, do what the elected, the money told them to do, because Harris said it best. Her hands are tied, they're check writers. So the individuals that fund the Democratic Party, the doers in high places that we don't see, that's the reason why these individuals get out there. Every time I see Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries stand watch, I'm sitting back saying, basically, these are the real sellouts. These are the sellouts. Okay. Because the Democratic Party has clearly been selling out America for just personal gain. Why is it we celebrate individuals' personal gain? Oh, that person did this, that person did that. But then when you have an individual that wants to spark the minds of the masses, they want to have issue with that because they know without a shadow of a doubt that they're fraud. Okay, so now the jig is up. Let me see here, USAID website. I'm gonna try it again. It's pretty much shut down. I got pretty good internet. Okay, matter of fact, really, okay, shut down. Okay, because Elon Musk shut it down. Okay, the United States Agency for International Development. The United States Agency for International Development is an independent agency of the United States government, really responsible for administrating civilian foreign aid and development assistance. Their annual budget is $40 billion. So now I respect the president, freeze all of the foreign funding to make sure that funding goes domestically here in the United States, because after all these there's no way that the Red Cross should be giving eviction notices to the individuals that's living in the shelters because they lost their homes. They lost everything. And the Red Cross has went on record and basically said up till the 17th of February to vacate the premises. Why? Okay, because we're lacking the funding. Okay, Elon Musk. Okay. A special ambassador to Trump's administration pretty much shut the United States Agency for International Development with an annual budget of $40 billion. Now, that's some money right there that they can have a conversation about. So we need to make sure good here. The Department of Education, done, shut down. Okay, went over there. These elected officials, these Democratic senators and Democratic congressmen, they went to the Department of Education and was denied access. And these individuals went over there. It was nothing but a political play to show their donors and their funders that they're fighting. They're out there doing their job. Okay. But mind you, they're in D.C., but everybody that's in Congress represents a city that they're not representing. Okay. Maxine Waters, Auntie Maxine, she represents certain sections of South Los Angeles. You're fighting for whatever you're fighting for, but you not even, having a conversation of what's going on in the community that you support. So this is why we're grooming the replacements. Okay. We're grooming the replacements. Now they can have lifelong positions. That's fine. But all good things come to an end. And when is the last days of these individuals? We're going to have, individuals in position to pretty much fight for the rights of the people, because what President Trump is doing, he's showing me, and like I said, I'm not a fan of anything but God, but what I am seeing is that America first is real, and he wants to make America great again. But I'm with the Make America Great, because again means, put my people back in slavery. Not doing that. So we want to make America great. Okay, so this is why United States Agency for International Development, which is US Aid or USAID, is shut down. Website shut down. $40 billion that Elon Musk has found. Great job, Mr. Elon. Okay, the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of the Americas. Think about that. It shouldn't even been. Okay, and then now we need to take over the Panama Canal. We need to go buy Greenland, and we need to rebuild Gaza. And I'm 100% on the side of the president, because America, is America. DEI, scramble that word, die. DEI is gone, gone. So now we get an opportunity to stand up as Americans and do what's right, by the people, for the people. It is what it is. Okay. And then I just, like I said, and we had the Super Bowl weekend, and I can't believe that Trump was the first sitting president to attend a football game, but I could not find anything to debunk that fact. So he's being a man's man, went to the Super Bowl, saluted. Okay, if you depending on what outlet they say, they booed him on the liberal channels, but on the conservative channels they booed Taylor Swift, cheered on President Trump. Okay, the game was a blowout, but the viewership. Now, a lot of people want to, the view. I was wondering, okay, how many people watch Super Bowl? Okay, and according to numbers, 126 million, and I like that. That number's symbolic for me. 126th Street, Harvard. 126 people Super Bowl. Okay, and for the second straight year, the Super Bowl was the most popular of all NFL games. It did monster viewership with a record of 126 million people tuned into the game. And it's also reported that 14 million people streamed the game. So this was the largest watched Super Bowl with an epic halftime show with a lot of subliminal messages in there. But I'm going to go ahead diligence and have that conversation a little later. But Elon Musk is doing a great job. He's finding the money. And America, it's an opportunity for us to do what we need to do. Okay, because America, it's a lot of promises, a lot of missteps, but they're finding all this money. If they can find $40 billion in the department, in the USAID or the USAID organ, okay, then they could find a way to spread the wealth to the American people. Okay, and pretty much the rates, of the ICE. I need y'all to chime in on the comments. I'm about to jump in these in the comment section. So thoughts on the immigration raids, because there was some leaked information to the LA Times. LA is a sanctuary city. So somebody in the Federal Bureau of Investigations agency leaked this information. So the people that live in Los Angeles could be prepared for. But there's large scale immigration raids to hit Los Angeles soon, leaked from an internal document. Okay, so what's y'all thoughts on that? I know it's not a good thing, but at the end of the day, we got to pretty much, pay attention to what's going on, because there's a method to the madness. Because I can see why shutting down USAID or USAID, I could see why shutting down the Department of Education, because it's from a merit perspective, it's under, performing. So from a performance perspective, the federal government should not aiding and abetting or funding a failed operation. So now from a teacher's perspective, you guys are going to have to start educating, and we're going to have to work as American citizens and make sure that we do something about crime and we do something about the prison system, because somehow it's backwards. They pay $114,000 to house a prison inmate, but they only pay $14,000 to educate. So something's wrong with that. Something is greatly wrong with that. So, but President Trump is knocking it out the park. He's doing an amazing job. His approval ratings are through the roof. Okay. And this is why you don't see his approval ratings. Okay. Usually if he's doing bad, that'll be the first thing. President's rating is at an all-time low. No. His approval ratings is at an all-time high right now. And they're not even, I looked a little early, they're not even posting it because it's really too high to the point where it would make a Democrat official pretty much, stop campaigning, shut down what they're talking about, because they're out there, putting in documentation for him to pretty much be, have an opportunity to run for a third term. Now, the Constitution says that there should not be more than two consecutive terms, but he beat Hillary, lost to Biden, and he beat Harris. So that's not a consecutive term. So there's lawmakers that's going to be fighting that fight, taking it all the way up to the Supreme Court, because it is what it is. He lost to Biden, but he didn't lose to the DEIs. He didn't lose to Hillary, who called us super predators and we needed to be brought to heel. He didn't lose to Harris, who was the district attorney of the state of California, locked up more black men than any elected official in the world, regardless of the numbers. Her whole career was predicated on that 3 strikes you out law and free labor for the state of California. And here in California, we voted no on Proposition 6, which was supposed to end involuntary servitude in the prison system, which is a component to end slavery. But somehow, some way, we went against our own people and it down. Okay. And it's crazy. It is what it is. It is what it is. So all I'm saying is, as American citizens, we are witnessing a changing of the way of life. We're looking at something so different than we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And we're going to have to stand strong. Don't be afraid. God is not the author of fear, and he's not the author of confusion, and he did not create the spirit of fear. So the fear mongering, just pretty much stand strong, because God is in control. He's always been in control. And no matter what situations come to pass, we're going to be perfectly fine. I pray for the migrants, that, everything works out, for the, it's hard to say, but there are least of these for the illegal immigrants. And I'm just saying, if you are a criminal, if you're doing, if you're a bad actor, if you're doing things wrong, it is because if we break the law, they will put us in prison. So you break the law, they'll deport you. So now we're looking at massive deportations. We're looking at the FBI, the DA is going to be assisting ICE in these Los Angeles raids. And it was a document that was leaked to the LA Times over the weekend from the FBI of massive, large scale raids coming by the end of the month. So we got to pay attention and watch out for that. So USAID, or United States Agency for International Development website shut down. So that's Elon done found $40 billion. The Department of Education is shut down, and we don't have the final number on that because the funding is frozen as well. The tariff seems to work because Mexico has agreed to put 10,000 soldiers or from the Mexican army, and Canada agreed to put 10,000 soldiers from the Canadian army to pretty much secure our northern and southern border and to pretty much stop the inflow of fentanyl and the inflow of illegal migration here in the United States. That's gangster. China, some terrorists on them, but we need to go ahead and invest in American steel because what's going on in those other countries, it is what it is. But the United States, we have steel production, and I appreciate you. Good looking out on that 999. Okay. And America will be strong. So go ahead and support and vote. And get the stock for American steel because, it is what it is. America is on its new day, and this country has the potential to be the greatest country ever. And we just happen to be living in these days and these times to pretty much see how this thing works, benefit from it, and have an opportunity to rise with the tide. Okay. In the year of 2025, you're going to see more millionaires in the year of 2025 than we have ever seen in the history of the world. We're dawning on a new day. This is no different than the gold rush. You had individuals just finding gold and becoming rich. You had a family by the name of Getty just got to somehow, some way, struck oil and became rich and wealthy. And now you have individuals from the stock market. We have crypto. We got to rise with the tide, and we got to get in front of this. We cannot just act like, we lost something. We gained everything. Okay. Because you have, Democrats, in which I know a lot of them, I'm just going to sit back for the next 4 years and we're not protesting. And okay, that don't work. I'm not doing anything. That's fine. Just sit back and, let the grown folks handle the business. You guys, you watch out. You're going to see what's going to happen. What do you mean? Y'all going to see what's happening. If anything happens to this country, it's going to happen to you too as well. Okay. We are all American citizens. And when people sit back and listen to the news outlets, sit back and have these conversations with you and they scare you. Oh, Trump's a dictator. No, America is a republic. To the republic, which is the nation under God. There's 3 branches of government. Okay. So therefore, he cannot just do what he wants to do. Now, the executive orders can be challenged on the Supreme Court. Okay. And the judges can make decisions on some of the legislation or some of the executive order that he has signed. But the president has executive power and he has veto power. Okay. And we have checks and balances, the Senate, the Congress, which is the same thing. With you got the Congress, then you have the Senate, and then you have the Supreme Court. Okay. Now we have a constitution that we abide by. So when he basically went on record and signed an executive order just to recognize male and female from birth, that was pretty much, that's the Constitution. Male, female, the Bible. Nobody had any pushback on that. Okay. He signed executive orders where born male or born men cannot compete in female sports. Everybody in their right mind, Republican, Democrat, Independent, any, whatever your political disposition is, nobody has a problem with that. And then now you have Elon Musk, which is pretty much, over Doge, which is finding frivolous spending and finding, the scam that the politicians have been for years, because this is why USAID or USAID has been shut down, which is Agency for International Development, has a $40 billion annual budget in which we need to focus domestically, because the Red Cross should not be giving eviction notices to individuals that's living in the shelters, and they got till the 17th of this month to vacate. Now that the government has found $40 billion, now I'm sure and hopeful, from a legislative perspective and hope from a publicist perspective, that the president somehow signs executive orders or somehow give them the funding to house these individuals who lost everything. Because the fires that happened, they're playing the blame game. It's a money grab. We tried to have these conversations before, but somehow they don't want us to have these conversations. I'm gonna just throw this out there. The first home in Altadena has been sold. Somebody bought a plot where the home used to be. The only thing that was standing on this home that was purchased is the chimney. So we got conversations down the road building with brick or cement, because somehow all homes burned down with these wood structures, but the chimneys are still standing. Another conversation. But the home sold for $400,000. Realtor went on record and said that they put the house on the market for $250,000. Okay. And the realtor went on record and said it was literally a bidding war just to buy a piece of land in Altadena that was burnt to the ground, that was basically just rubble. 36 offers came in. The realtor basically said we sold $400,000. And the reason we didn't sell it any higher, because they had conversation with the price gouging committee that's making sure, that they don't pretty much start raising the fees and everything, so people will get bought. But just for that property to be sold. So now you could just imagine the individuals who don't have resources to independently clear their land, who don't have the money to build their home. Okay. There's a lot of individuals where those homes were, given to them by their parents through an inheritance. And I saw one individual said his house burned down. It was pretty much, the price was $900,000. And he pretty much, had $500,000 worth of equity, and he lived there on a fixed income. How can he build back? So, without a shadow of doubt, what is he going to do? He's going to sell that land. Okay. And I'm sure the voting those properties out there that were, burnt down by fire, because they see this as an opportunity. They see this as a land grab. And just imagine out on the Pacific Palisades side, just imagine individuals that wanted beachfront property, but due to the availability of beachfront property was null and void. So now I guarantee you somebody's right now trying to cut a deal so they can actually build their house, right? Beachfront property right now. It is what it is. It is what it is. But we are dawning on a time, where we just got to really sit back and understand there is a method to the madness. The president, he's not just winging it. Okay. We have to trust and believe that the people that's in control were the ones that supposed to be in control. The American people voted for the Trump administration, and we got to sit back and make sure we do what we need to do as individuals, okay, to make sure that we get our slice of pie. Just like I said, rising with the tide. Okay, we got to get into this technology. We got to get into the AI. We got to get into the crypto market. We got to get into, things that, are innovative and futuristic. Okay, we cannot go back to the past and reinvent the wheel. We got to move along with it. So this is an opportunity for everybody to actually come up. Have a administration in office that's so focused on, the art of the deal, so focused on making America great again, so focused on doing away with the Democratic Party. We got to make a decision and sit back and really see what's going on. And this is why I do, because I didn't choose politics. Politics chose me, because when I go to other outlets and want to have this conversation, it seems like they're just telling me what they want to say. When I do some research, it come out to be lies. So when the president says fake news, I understand exactly what he's saying, because they're pretty much feeding the sheep the information that they want to feed them, because if they don't do that, then they wouldn't even exist. Is what it is. It is what it is. And somebody put in the comments, yes, he wants to buy Canada for the minerals. Listen, Canada need to get its act together, because Canada been sitting back safe for a very long time, because what? America spends billions of dollars protecting Canada. Canada don't go to war with anybody. Canada don't have any issues, because America protects Canada, just like America protects Mexico. So Canada, Mexico, Greenland, they're in the conversation. They're in the conversation, because Greenland, the individuals who live in Greenland, it's only like 65,000 residents in the whole continent of Greenland, which is in Antarctica, pretty much ice. They're pretty much saying, oh, we're not for sale. No, he's not talking about buying the people. We've been there, done that. OK, that would be a strategic place to purchase, just like Alaska was strategic. You ever wonder why Alaska is not owned by Canada? Could you imagine that if Alaska was not owned by Canada? Just think about that. OK, so that's strategic. Look at Hawaii was strategic. Just imagine if Japan owned the Hawaiian Islands. OK, Pearl Harbor would have been in California, but by America strategically purchasing that land from a strategic perspective, that makes perfectly good sense. This is why taking over the Panama Canal, America built it, we gifted to Panama, and they sold out to China. So we need to back down there and get that. The Gulf of Mexico should have always been the Gulf of America. Should have never been anything different. And now that the Democratic, think about this, the Democratic Party funded genocide, funded the demolition of Gaza and its people. And now the Republican Party saying, OK, since the Democrats went down, OK, gave aid to Israel to pretty much, bring it down to rubble, to kill children in schools, to do this and do whatever they did. The United States funded that. Yes, the United States funded it. OK, and now the sitting president is saying, why not use our resources to build it back better and take over Gaza and Riviera, I quote, of the Middle East ran by America. And that will make sure that there will be peace in the Middle East. OK, not like when we left Afghanistan and left all the weaponry and everything there. Think about it. So now we can finally understand what's going on, because a lot of times, they say, it's need to know. We don't know. We don't need to know. But here in America and in the world, the phenomenon has happened. So you can't actually have a conversation of untruths anymore because it is what it is. You can't. You can't. You can't. So when the president talks about, making Gaza the Riviera of the Middle East, as American citizens, look at the contracts, look at the job opportunities, look at the investment opportunities. So this is what I'm saying. We just need to follow the money and stop playing. Okay. We need to follow the money and stop playing. It is what it is. It is what it is. In America, if we funding all and funding the destruction of a place, on my Bible talks, it's like Jerusalem. Okay. That's holy land. Okay. And it's crazy that they continue to fight there. But America, the administration funded Israel. And when you talk to Harris on the trail, she never even touched on the destruction of Gaza and the genocide of the people, of the Palestinian people that she basically talks about October 7th. Since that happened, we couldn't strategically go in and find the individuals that was responsible, but that was an opportunity to pretty much destroy some land. I truly believe that the Democrats probably wanted to build it back, but they did not win. So now that the Republicans are in office, they're going to open the doors for, civilians like myself and you, for investments, for opportunities to create some wealth for our generations to come. Because the Democrats, they're just, their days are over, but they're all about and they only rock with those individuals who fund those campaigns. This is why they put Letitia James out there and she reads the teleprompter nervously because she knows what it says, but she got to read it because foreign money and individuals in high places, evildoers in high places, have funded her campaign along with Bragg and everybody else. This is why they went after Trump. Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Fonnie Willis. These are individuals that had to go after Trump. He got 4 felonies, but somehow he's the president of the United States. And I'm waiting for him to pretty much come up with an executive order. Since a felon is in the White House, won't you go ahead and take that box off of the application process? Because there's a lot of individuals that can't get employment because of their felonious background. So let's not be a hypocrite on that. But now that we are living in a day and time, and this is our opportunity to put up or shut up. This is our opportunity to rise with the tide. And I see opportunity because if we do take over Gaza and build it back better, okay, which was Joe Biden's, you see Joe Biden's campaign slogan. So if you're going to build something back better, that means you got to just. So since the Democrats destroyed it, so now the Republican Party wants to build it back better, but it's going to create opportunities and contract American citizens. And then now that there's tariffs on China, so now we don't even want your steel. That means we got to open the steel mills here in the United States, more jobs. And then if you did not know, from a publicist perspective, tax breaks are coming to the ultra rich. Okay, because the Democrats always say the billionaires got to pay their fair share, but all of these billionaire donors pretty much supported the Democratic Party. So what are you talking about? Okay, so when you give subsidies, tax breaks, and loopholes to the rich and ultra rich, that means that there's fundings and monies for jobs and more opportunities. This is very simple. Okay, when the rich do good, it's called down effect. Now, if you sit back and you want to tax the ultra rich, they do. Okay, just like Facebook, it's going to lay off 1,000 employees. Just like Amazon laying off employees. Anything that you want to tax, they're going to lay off to make up that difference. And this is why you see the DEI thing, starting to be decimated. Because if you did not know, breaking news, Disney dropped its DEI today. So they will not be having, a Pride weekend. Okay, the Trump administration has shut down Pride Month, but I know y'all gonna party anyway. Okay, just like it's Black History Month, we're not really talking about it. We're doing our things behind the scene. You can't stop what we're doing, but it doesn't have to be a federal situation. So believe me, West Hollywood is gonna party. They're gonna do their thing, but from a federal perspective, okay, the Trump administration is doing away with that. Okay. And it is what it is. And you can, if you're wondering how did it happen, the first black president, Obama, signed all these laws and legislation to pretty much change everything because he was the change president. So he was the one who wanted your boy to change to a girl and us to basically accept it. But like I said, it is what it is. But the current administration is pretty much going back to the basics, which is pretty much taking us back from a metaphoric perspective back to 1964 when they signed the Civil Rights Acts. And this is where I start off at, because this is where all the confusion came in at. Back in the 60s, it was a black thing, it was black power and all of that. But somehow, some way, the women's live movement includes, white women, which are the Karens, most racist on the planet, the white liberals, the gay movement, which includes white men, the immigrants and everything under the sun, and then changed us from a race of people to an ethnicity. And then there's no power in an ethnicity, because when you are an African American, somebody else will say, I'm a female, I'm gay, I'm queer, I'm lesbian, I'm this, and you're African American, it's no different. But when you sit back and say, I'm black, that's a game changer. Just like you got white. Okay. Only 3 races on this planet. Okay. It's the Negroids, blacks, the Caucasians, which is the Caucasoids, and the Mongolians, and everybody has had that barbecue, and that's the Asians. Anything else is a mixture of that when it comes down to, because when they do the census here in LA, and I've worked with the census back in 2014, if you were Latino, okay, in the Latin nations, you had to basically check the box for Caucasian. And that's crazy, okay, because you're not recognized as a race. Okay, when I ask a female, Latino female, what's your race? Oh, I'm Hispanic. Hispanic simply means the history of Spanish people. Okay, I'm Latina. Oh, that's that's your origin. Okay, that's not. I'm Mexican. Okay, that's a country like Mexico. I'm Californian. Okay, and some people are New Yorker. Okay, but when it comes down to race, and this is why they work together, the Democratic Party with the Asian community, which is China, to pretty much, China and Japan, which to freeze out the black man. But the Democratic Party is the party that was the DEI, pretty much brought us into the fold, but just to have a black face, just to be accepted, to have a position. So this is why when Trump does something, I look for black faces and I don't see none. They're keeping it 100. But then when you do a Democratic situation, you got all these, you got Asian people speaking with different tones and dialect, like, elected officials from China, elected officials from Japan. And I'm sitting back as possible, because you have Jewish, okay, you have other whites behind the scenes, forcing them and funding them, pretty much push an agenda that will make sure that white supremacy, the JP Morgans, okay, think about it, the hierarchy, the 5 families, think about it. But the Trump administration is opening the door when it comes to merit, meaning there's no traffic in your lane. Do you? Okay, if you broke in 2025, shame on you. There's so many opportunities out there. You don't even have to go get a job if you want to go get some money. You can use an app and, have a car service. You can use an app and have a delivery service. You can use an app, and pretty much trade stocks and cryptocurrency. So what are we doing? So this is when they say Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. And that's true. Their democracy is dead, and the black man is under assignment. Do not resuscitate. By no stretch of the imagination, do not resuscitate. We're going to follow the money. We're going to render unto Caesar is what is Caesar's, and Trump is Caesar. And more importantly, we're going to render God's what is God's, because when it comes from a moral perspective, we have, as individuals, we need to figure it out. We need to figure it out. And somebody put in the chat, DEI, didn't earn it. And that's true. Because when you don't earn it, you feel entitled because they selected you. And now when they select you, you got to do a job for them. And this is why in the black community, the most dangerous individual is a black homosexual male. He is so dangerous to the black community because they will put him up against his brother and have him fighting for the rights of everything but humanity. They will tell you abort your babies, third trimester, 6 months, 7, 8, 9 months. If you vote against Harris, you're voting against your sister, you're voting against your daughter, you're voting against your mother. And I'm going to tell you this straight up. My mama, my sister, and my daughter can't lead men. Okay? They can't. Okay? They have an important job to do, but men and women are not created. We're not. Men, our job is to do something, and a woman's job. And somehow, some way, we're training our daughters. Oh, I could do anything. Sweetheart, no, you can't. And it took a president by the name of Donald Trump to make sure that you got Title IX opportunities, because the Democratic Party, in which you support, will allow men to pretty much compete in women's sports. I watched a cyclist, born male, ride in the Tour de France, not the main one, but on one of the courses against women. And the fastest time prior to this man who was saying he was a woman, the fastest time of this course was like 8 hours and 20 minutes. This man broke that record in half. It took that man 4 hours to complete the entire course, and he was born male. Think about that. You've seen the situation in the Olympics. In the gold medal round, this born male hit this feet ribs and hit her, and she was like, no, he's too strong. But the Democratic Party here in the United States supports that. And this is what I'm saying. And they will put a homosexual black man on their team. They will have a homosexual black man writing their speeches. And this is why Harris so badly, because they had homosexual men in the cabinet, in the fold, and homosexual men cannot connect with alpha males men or beta males or whatever you want to call it. Because the homosexual male is pretty much trained to be a woman in the male's body. Because like the son of Willie Lynch, she will raise her children in reverse roles, and he will fight for the rights of her before he will fight for the rights of himself. Because a homosexual male, I'm not saying has morals, it's for the fact that the act of just lovemaking, how they do, the way that they do it goes against the word of God. So if you got that strike on you, just go ahead and live your life and do what you do. But when it comes to leading the masses, there has to be some type of dignity, some type of moral turpitude. Okay. Because as a heterosexual black man who was raised in one of the greatest eras of education between preschool to the 6th grade, they taught us everything we needed to know. So from a moral perspective, I'm not going to do anything to another human being, that I wouldn't want them to do to me, regardless if it looks like I'm taking an L. Because anytime I match that energy, you're the one affected. OK, so I love my neighbor as I love myself. But the first thing that you must do is love yourself. Because if you're suicidal, you will hurt your brother or your sister, because hurt people hurt people. And if you look at the homosexual male, I mean, it's if they really told you their story of how that happened, who touched them, who violated them, who made them choose a man's anus over a woman's wet vagina. About that. There's a mental illness. There's some grooming. There's a whole lot of things going on. And then if you call yourself a man or woman of God, shame on you. Just live your life and do you. But in the sense of the prodigal sons coming back home into the fold, The prodigal sons rising with the tide. The prodigal son standing up against unrighteousness and doing what he needs to do of what is right. Because they call us sellouts for, going to the White House or, working with the Republicans for equity for our community. What's wrong with that? You need to read that book, Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a cold piece of work because Uncle Tom was trusted. Uncle Tom loved his people because there's a difference between Uncle Tom and Sambos. See, the Sambos are that ignorant Negro, that just want to just get along, but not has no power, no substance or nothing that will make the situation better. But then when you have somebody that's going to do something that they can't do or enter a room and change the environment of that room or get invited to places that they can't be invited to, and you have that Sambo in that crab bucket with the rest of the ignorant fools, which we call the sleeping sheep, buying into that narrative and that agenda. This is why I do what I do, because I see all of it. I see all of it. And then it gives me motivation to set the record straight. This is why I got to give you the flip side of it, because there's two sides to every story. OK, because they'll just why the president they just getting rid of USAA. We don't need to develop internationally when we're underdeveloped here in America. We don't need a Department of Education if our schools are the worst it's ever been. We don't need the Gulf of Mexico to be on our Google Maps or on our maps. It needs to be the Gulf of America. And then you have a sitting president who there was an attempted assassination on national television. And then got the Sambos. Oh, it was staged. It was fake. Man, come on, man. So you tell me 2 people got killed that day. That was fake? No, God spared that man's life because he was not going to allow another generation to go down because the biblical curse expired. OK, that word says, children of Abraham will be stolen from their land and dwell in a foreign land and be casted as slaves and duly for 400 years. I, God, will punish the oppressors and they should come out with great wealth. So this is our shifting of the moment to come out with great wealth because the shall be last and the last shall be first. Why don't we hear? And I talked to my professors about it, challenge them. Why don't we talk about ages? And they said, well, the dark age was erased because that's when the dark melanated people was in control. Whoa. So it was a time where we was in control. Yeah. Kings and queens and everything else. But here in the United States, our story starts off as slavery. Jamestown, Virginia, year 1619. Look it up. And if you subtract 1619 for 2019, that's 400 years on a modern calendar. But if on the 360 calendar, that 400 years expired this past August, and we'll be commemorating, our first year of freedom. Because if you look at the Civil Rights Acts, we should be celebrating 60 years of Black empowerment, but we celebrated 60 years of women empowerment, 60 years of the LGBTQ LMNOP, 60 years of the immigrants and everything of the race. But the only thing they did was change us to an ethnicity, and there's no power in ethnicity. Our power is our race. We're $1 trillion industry in this nation, within this nation. So instead of fighting to be inclusive, instead of fighting to have a seat at the table, instead of fighting to be accepted, let's fight to develop our hoods and barrios and communities where we're recycling our Black dollars, where we don't have to leave the community to shop. We don't have to leave the community to get banking. We don't have to leave the community to get healthy foods. We don't have to leave the community to buy cars. Communities will not make it if it's not recycling its dollars. So when you look at the Indian community and the white community and certain things like that, you got to recycle your dollars at least 20 times before it leaves the hood. But as soon as we get our money, take our paycheck and go elsewhere because these places of business, they're not in our community. And this is why we have to fight. And this is why I will be spearheading, a portion of that $40 billion that Elon Musk has put on freeze for USAID, also known as USA Aid for International Development, when we need to develop domestically. So we'll be fighting for that, because here in the state of California, they be playing us. Okay. The reparations, playing this, moving the goalposts, and, we having these conversations about reparations and all of this stuff. And they didn't even put it on Gavin Newsom's desk because he said he was going to veto it. And instead of him vetoing it, he made the black legislators, Stephen Bradford to be one of them. You get out there, boy, and you tell them that it's not going to happen. So now we're going to go holler at Trump and Elon. Man, y'all got $40 billion. Man, where the bread at? Holla at us. Let's talk about it. Okay. So it is what it is. Okay. And somebody put in a Canadian and I'm free. I'm American and I'm free, but we need to, get some of that domestic aid in the United States and develop and end poverty, end crime, end the prison pipeline situation, get our public school systems at the top of the country, the top of the world, and here in tranquility. This is what we got to do. We can and we will. We can and we will. And somebody put, blacks get reparations, then all slaves should get reparations, including indentured service. Absolutely. See, these are conversations that we can have. Okay. Because the black man, we love everybody. Okay. We want all the win-win. If the black community get reparations, that ain't do nothing but help society, help the culture, and help the world. And we'll be willing to share the wealth, because Elon found $40 billion that he can earmark on this side, and we'll just figure out how to disseminate the funding. And I guarantee you, everybody's going to win. Everybody's going to win. So, but in terms of that reparations conversation, these were promises that has been already made. And Dr. King on it that America has defaulted on his promissory note, because this is what led up to his assassination, because he created what we call the People's Party. And they was going to have a sit-in at the White House after the march on Washington and pretty much just sit out there until they cut the check. But what happened? He was assassinated and everybody went on back to work. And it was time for us to start the revolution. They told us, hey, man, don't mess with that white man's money. Y'all go to school, get y'all's good education and leave it right there. And we been there, done that. And now we in the prime of our lives. And we're going to make sure we do what's right by the people. OK, and I'm in these comments right now. USA Aid has been refusing to reveal how they are spending their money in oversight hearings for years. OK, now Doge is being very transparent and with the spending of it. And exactly because Elon Musk's team has pretty much said that this is like breaking the law. They can actually charges of stealing domestic funding to fatten pockets. If you look at these elected officials that have been elected officials for over 20 years, a senator or Congress at best, annual salaries between $175,000 and $350,000. But if you look at worth, their net worth in the 20s of millions of dollars. How is that possible? This game and the sham that they're running. So I applaud the president of the United States putting in an independent, non-elected official to pretty much locate the money. So USAID website is down today. It are $40 billion for international development when we need to develop domestically. And that's crazy. And in closing, the GoFundMe is official. Go ahead and go to Google. It's on Google Maps, showing the Department of Education is shut down as well, but we are waiting to find out more information on that. Trump is pretty much confirmed and to ever go to the Super Bowl. Actually walked on the field, was shaking the players' hands the whole time. And then hit that like, hit that notification, because I will be talking about the halftime show. I will put up a pre-recorded or edited video about the halftime show, because they pretty much went viral breaking that thing down. And ICE leaked documents are going to be doing massive raids here in LA within days. They said it's going to happen the end of the month, and they're going to be in assistance with the DEA. as well as the FBI, as well as Department of Homeland Security, and they're going to be doing massive raids here in America. And Elon is doing a great job. The president's approval rating, somebody put it in the chat, is 57%. That's the highest approval rating than any sitting president at any time. Higher than Obama, higher than Bush, higher than anybody. So right now, President Trump's approval rate is the highest ever, okay, ever on record. So let that sink in. And DEI is what somebody put in the chat, did not earn it, which is dead. So with that being said, man, hit that like, hit that notification. We're going up in 2025. And my job is to continue to make it make sense, you know, because a lot of times there's a method to the madness. And sometimes you need somebody to take the time to break it down in layman's terms, because we got a president that's a shooter. And a lot of times he's misunderstood here on the Better Black America TV. You have a great day. Peace out.